language lovers and language learners. Have you ever found yourself in a grammatical conundrum, all tangled up in a battle between I and me, not sure which word is the right word to use in a given context? Or maybe you've never really given it another thought and have just bravely forged ahead, randomly picking one out of the two words. But you should have been thinking about it, because there's a very good chance that you have been using the wrong word in the wrong context many times. This is a very common mistake. A lot of English speakers, even native speakers, often get confused between I and me in certain contexts. There are a lot of tricky duos like this in English, but today we're going to focus on I and me, and we're going to clear up that confusion once and for all, so you never again have to find yourself in that grammatical conundrum. Hello everyone, my name is Bakul Soman and welcome back to my channel. We are going to get started with a quiz. I'm going to present you with 5 sentences and you will have a few seconds to judge whether the word I or me has been used correctly in that sentence. Let's get started. Sentence number 1. Me and my friends went to the movies. Sentence number 2. She invited Sarah and I to the party. Sentence number 3. They gave the award to my brother and me. Sentence number 4. He wants to meet with you and I later. Sentence number 5. He and I went to the concert. All right, so how did you do? If you got even one of these sentences wrong, then this video is really going to help you clear up that confusion. In order to understand which word to use correctly, we're going to review a few basic grammatical concepts and structures. So in any simple grammatical sentence, there are 3 parts. We have the subject, verb, and object. In the sentence, the boy ate a mango, the subject is the boy, ate is the verb, and mango is the object. So the entity that is performing the action is the subject, and the entity upon which the action is being performed is the object. Oftentimes, sentences are more complicated than this. We are going to look at 2 variants of subject and object that come in really handy when you're trying to figure out whether to use I or me. We are going to look at compound subjects and compound objects. All this means is that there are 2 entities that are smushed together to form a compound subject. So if we look at the sentence, the boy and the girl ate a mango, there are 2 subjects, the boy and the girl. They both are the entities doing the action. So the boy and the girl are our compound subject. Similarly, we can have a compound object where the action is being performed on 2 entities. So if we take the sentence, the boy ate a mango and a pear, mango and a pear are our compound object. That arrow didn't land where I wanted it to land, so I'm going to try that again. Are our compound object. Okay? This is what we have to pay attention to, because this is the key to clearing up the confusion. I want you to take a look at all 5 sentences that were in our quiz. What do you notice about all 5 of these sentences? They all have either a compound subject or a compound object. Herein lies the confusion. In this specific context with compound subjects or compound objects, this is where people tend to make a lot of mistakes. So let's review each item and figure out whether it's correct or incorrect and why. Okay, so let's take a look at our first sentence. First thing to remember is I is the subject pronoun, me is the object pronoun. Okay, so you ask yourself 2 things. Number 1, Is me or I being used as the subject or object in the sentence? So in this case, we have a compound subject, me and my friends. We are the ones doing the going to the movies, so we know it's the subject, so we should be using the subject pronoun. So immediately we know that this sentence is wrong because it's using the object pronoun, right? But what we can do is we can figure out another way. We can do test number 2. We separate it into 2. It's a compound subject, so we can create 2 separate sentences. So the first sentence would be, me went to the movies. That doesn't make sense, right? But if we change that to I went to the movies, it makes complete sense. And now what we can do is we can cover up, we don't really need to do this because this my friends is not the problematic part, but you could, the second half of that would be my friends went to the movies, and obviously that is correct. So we know that this should be my friends and I went to the movies. Moving on to sentence number 2, same thing. We're going to ask ourselves, is I being used as the subject or object? Okay, we know that she invited Sarah, so she is the subject. Sarah and I are the object. So we need to be using the object pronoun. And already we can see that we used I, which is not going to work. But we're going to do our test number 2 and see if it works, okay? So I'm going to remove this part and I'm going to see if the sentence still works. She invited I to the party. Obviously that is wrong. This, if we change this to me, she invited me to the party, makes complete sense. So the sentence should read, she invited Sarah and me to the party. Item number 3, they gave the award to my brother and me. Is me the subject or the object in this sentence? They is the subject. They are the ones giving the award. This sentence actually has 2 objects. It has a direct object and it has a compound indirect object. Okay, but it's still an object. So right away we know that it should have the object pronoun, which it does. So let's do test number 2 and see if it still works. So I'm going to remove this part to clear up the confusion. And I'm going to say, see if it works. They gave the award to, I need to remove this word too. They gave the award to me. It works. We are good to go. Sentence number 4, he wants to meet with you and I later. He is the subject. He is the one doing the wanting. So we have a compound object. So we should be using the object pronoun me. Okay? Let's see. So we know that this is wrong. Let's try our separation test. He wants to meet with I later. Nope, that is not correct. If I change this to me, he wants to meet with me later. So changing the I to me is what fixes this sentence. He wants to meet with you and me later. Item number 5, he and I went to the concert. All right, who is doing the going to the concert? He and I. So we have our, it should be a subject pronoun, which it is. So we should be good to go, but we're going to do the separation test. We're going to remove the other part of our compound subject. I went to the concert. Boom, bingo, works, perfect. All right, that is it. So to recap, in order to clear up the confusion, 2 things you need to do. First, ask yourself, is I or me being used in place of the subject or object in a given sentence? Remember, I is the subject pronoun, me is the object pronoun. Test number 2, separate out your compound subject or compound object. If the part with the me or I without the other entity works on its own, sounds grammatically correct, then you're good to go. If it doesn't, you probably are using me instead of I or I instead of me. One last tip, if you have a compound subject like my friends and I, technically you could say I and my friends go to the movies, but in usage, typically we put ourselves last. So we go from the people farthest to us to ourselves. So it could be he, you, and I go to the movies. When I was learning it, we were always told, put the donkey last. I hope this was helpful. I hope it cleared up the confusion. You know what test to use to never make that mistake again. I hope to see you again next time. Thank you for watching.